Hello my cabbages and welcome back to another mapping video. This time I had some new islands out here because, you know, why not have new islands? And they're like a lot more rounded because, you know, I wasn't going to make them blocky. I think as I go on I'll add more islands and try and make the coastlines less blocky because I don't like the look at being them super blocky on all that. But, yeah, that will come eventually. But yeah, the little coastlines will come and play later because they haven't actually found any of them. But for now, let's get on to it. Speaking of the coastlines I just talked about, the red team decides to do some exploration. They already have the corridor there. They could expand. Yeah, they feel like expanding a bit first. Because they're not, yeah. I want to keep it realistic enough. I don't want to just contrive stuff. So they expand quite a bit because, you know, red team is expansionist. Like, if you don't know this, then come on, guys. Like, were you even watching my video? Like, and then let's say the green team with the capitalist economy, they have a lot of money, so they're going to expand, and they find this island. Find its okay size, and they kind of, you know, explore all of it to find it, and they're like, cool, new island, colonization, and they just, I mean, not really colonized, but, oh, nope, wrong layer, because nobody really lived there before, so they're not really colonized or something. Oh, also, I updated the religion map, so it's mostly up to date now, so, yay. Modified, you know, a bit of a pink religion, which is gonna be like, it's a sleeper religion right now, but it will move eventually. And like the green team, the kind of word gets out that like, oh, there's other islands and they found them even though they're not, you know, as big. And the red team, being as expansionists are, they're like, oh, cool, let's try finding new islands. They're like, nope. And they're like, what? Yay, new island. Find this island, which is actually the most biggest of all the islands. And they only explore part of it because their ship was kind of like running out of fuel and stuff, so they kind of, let's just say that, bada boom. Blue team, being all cooped up here, is like, whoa, islands, I want islands, because they haven't been expanding a bit. And they go here, and they find an island, and they circumnavigate this island. Around it. They find another island. Wow, what luck. It's almost like it was, you know, planned to be here. Whoa, 2 more islands. Whoa. So they find this whole chain of islands. They decide to stop exploring because they know there's no more islands. What? How would they know that? So they find this whole chain of islands, and they've been starved for resources. And they also tell the light blue country and allow them to get the 2 smaller islands because they may or may not be allied. I kind of want to add an ally layer, but if I kind of add them, it'll be too big. Yeah, but they're just allies right now. I don't know. So they kind of explore these islands, expand, because the blue team's been wanting to expand for so long. Because they have so much pent-up might. Like, they're surprisingly strong, they have good technological advances, and the people are just, strong, and so, eventually, what happens, you know, this looks ugly. Yeah, I found all the islands. The blue team decides to attack unexpectedly, and they're like, whoa, but simultaneously, almost like it was planned, the light blue team also plans an attack, and then they meet each other. And their armies work together because they were cooperating, and they have, like, surprising power because they've been cooped up for a really long while. So they've just been, like, having power, like, they've been training. They're kind of like Sparta, like, if you don't know, they had I forgot the name of the battle, but they had a battle where, like, basically, for every Spartan killed, like, 3 point, like, 3 men. And it's like crazy, but like maybe not as Spartan. Like maybe they're like outnumbered like 2 to 3, because like they got the capital. Actually, how does this country not have a capital? I need to give them a capital. Let's just say the capital was right here, but it's already taken. So, and they're kind of caught off guard, so they try to take back their capital, which they will do successfully. But like, so they're outnumbered like 3 to 2, but like each soldier is like twice as strong, so they're like winning. And the blue team, actually, this was a distraction, taking their capital, to cut them off over here. And because they're cut off over here, the army here kind of like doesn't know what to do, because recently they got a new ruler, and this ruler happened to not be that good. And there's like a good ruler, almost like some people plan to put them on the throne. But, like, another nation, like, their puppet ruler, and, like, the army was putting up a fight, and he kind of tried to make it look real by knocking them out of the capital, but they take it, and, like, the army is, like, mad. Like, why would you just let him take our city? Like, we could have done way more. You know, let me just say they're, like, outnumbered, like, 10 to 1. Yeah, let's make it dramatic. But they installed basically a puppet ruler on the throne, which allowed them to kind of, you know, get away with some stuff. And, you know, I don't usually update it that much, but let's just say their you know, strong ideology expands, and even their, like, so dark blue is, like, really strong ideology for them, and the light blue is, like, weaker ideology. And then the light blue ideology expands. And if you watched last video, you know they're not really the best type of people. So, yeah, not the best. But they expand nonetheless. And, like, they're not getting rid of these people quite yet, but, yeah. Yeah. So they kind of own this whole area, and they're like, why would you, like, and the purple team's shocked, like, they just kind of got there, and, like, the purple team's super peaceful and all that, and they got a new ruler, because, you know, that's what happens, and their ruler happens to be super incompetent. They're super lavish, and almost like they're getting money from somewhere. Even though the purple team isn't, like, the richest, it's built up refugees and all that, and it has good technology, but it was like, but he seemed to be, like, weirdly rich. And this area, the blue team recently conquered, there's a lot of good coal mines and, like, iron mines. They get a lot of resources here, and I don't know, do you see any correlation? I don't. Eventually, the blue team and the light blue team decide to combine. I'm just calling the blue team, but it's basically, they're the same country now. They keep 2 capitals because I don't want to, you know, anger them. And the purple team happens to be like, oh yeah. They seem very supportive somehow. Like their ruler has been, I don't know, paid off. But the red team seeing how well the blue team is doing, they are getting angry, and they have a new ruler. This old ruler is nice, allowing to cut through land, but this new ruler is like, we can't just rely on them, so we gotta wage war. And they actually, like, waged war, and the red team was kind of caught off guard because they thought they had a thing, and they tried to connect their lands and go after the capital. But then, like, the dark red teams built off, wrong color. Dark red teams built off soldiers, so they're pretty strong. They kind of, you know, cut this in 2 and, like, kind of collapse this. And the people here, they're not loyal, but they're not unloyal. So I had this color before, but, you know, I'm gonna use it for here now. So if they're the new lightish red nation because they're not like completely unloyal. They're just not the greatest. And they also tried to cut off this area because, you know, using where it's like thin, and they kind of do, but also like they have a decent naval presence, like the red team, because they already got this island, so they've been like responding there, and they sent a wave of soldiers over there through boats, and they're kind of taking it back, and then but they can't completely take it back. And then they send a wave from the other side, and it's like doing pretty well until the red team kind of... Nope, I keep on getting the wrong color. Dark red team kind of strikes back and rebalances it, and they try to join. But then the red team, wanting to protect its capital, completely gets them out of there, and because they have a strong naval presence now, they got a lot of coastal regions. Tried to attack the capital, didn't work. Got that area, and they're doing pretty well now. They got like whole area, and eventually they're like, okay, we can do a peace deal. The dark red team, because at this point the red team was winning. The red team really wanted to reconnect, but the dark red team's like, no, I will give you a lot of other stuff, but not that. Like, I don't know why they were so against it, but they were. So the dark red team takes back this stuff. So they still have a naval presence over there. The red team kind of takes this area back, and they agreed to take this area back, even though they kind of rebelled, and not the best of terms. And instead of being controlled by both teams, they have it so it's controlled by the red team, but they allow the dark red team to go through there as like kind of bypass. They also take some these areas. Want to weaken the dark red team, and honestly they came out of this kind of winning, so yeah, they're pretty strong. And the red team has been like trying to align with the purple team because they have a new ruler. But then they realize this ruler is like strangely set on the blue team, like really likes the blue team, and they realize they're being bribed. The blue team invented bribing basically because they didn't really have bribing before, but they're basically being bribed, and they're like angry at this. The purple team is basically part of the blue team at this point, and they call them out on that in like the political stage, and the blue team's just like, now's the time. And then they take it over without the citizens like even kind of knowing this would happen. And the red team's like, because they gotta have the ancestral rivalry because they were the first two teams and they fought each other. The red team is like, you cannot just take over and be the one in power, because the red team wanted to gain power, as we saw with the war with the dark red team. So they kind of try encircling their army. They're successful. They encircle it. The dark red team's like, for some reason why, is super onset about keeping this area separate, and they kind of just go like this and kind of cut it off. And they're like, why are you doing this? The red team is honestly just also confused about their behavior. But like, it shouldn't really matter, but they comply for now. But their main focus is on the blue team. So they try to like get down into the blue team, make a strike, and then the blue team kind of tries to cut off the spearhead, which they do successfully. And the red team's partially confused. They try taking back some of this to reconnect troops, but the dark red team kind of tries coming back, and then the blue team takes like this area, and then the red team decides to detract and let them in through this area. It's very confusing behavior. They kind of take this behavior to this area and like slowly kind of encircle them, and take this and this, but then the dark red team goes back to being like, no, and takes this thin strip of land. And like the blue team is also kind of perplexed, but they're not really against them, because if anything, they're taking the red team's land and cutting them off. So they're kind of working with them, and the red team's much more confused. But they kind of continue their back and forth here, and like kind of, red team gets on the lead, blue team goes back and forth, and meanwhile, purple team's just kind of, poor guy, stuck in between all this, and like, not knowing what to do. But all of a sudden, there's a village right here, takes back their land for the purple team. And the generals are confused. How did they lose? The purple team was done for. That's what they thought until they found out about magic. Yes, I'm making magic canon to my world. So basically, there's this powerful sorcerer. Let's just, I don't know, for cool factor, they were trained when they're young, because like they're peaceful, but they knew that this would be, bad time coming with the war. So they trained themselves with a mace, and like, so they're like a magical mace user, and honestly, that just sounds really dope. So they like use their mace in combat, and they're like, they've never seen magic before, and they're like, how is this happening? And the red team tries fighting back, but it's just a one-man army. Like, they're taking out all of their troops. They're like some kind of like state, like I would say it like more, but basically an Avatar state. I'm basically ripping Avatar off right now, and they kind of just can't be stopped, and they create like magical army of the fallen souls, because a lot of civilians were caught in the crossfire here. So they're basically like, they turn into a necromancer, a mace wielding magic necromancer. That honestly sounds super dope. And they just use the souls of the dead people, which were so many of them, and just use them to expand. This whole time, everybody is so confused. Like, what's happening? How are they doing this? Like, nobody knows what magic is. And the generals, like, they put reports back to the generals, but they just think they're lying, because like, magic can't be real. They're like, well, actually, they do think in magic, but not this type of magic, because they're like so dumb. They're still kind of proto-civilization, so they do believe in magic, but like not this type of magic. And they make some advances here and advances there, but then it's just not enough, because one step forward, two steps back, and they just eventually just regain the capital. And like, it's just like, how is this happening? They're just taking huge swaths of land because they can't contest it. This is like impossible in their eyes, but it just keeps growing, because every soldier they lost in battle, every soldier they take down, like every time they kill a soldier from the red team, they can rise them up and join their army. So the longer they fight in battle, the stronger they get, and that is like really good. Eventually, they realize this, so they pull back their population and just stop fighting and allow them to take the land over and just surrender, because they can't do anything except surrender. They lose all of their land to the purple team, the one that was the peaceful one, the one that would get bossed around. They surrender all of their land because they can't do anything else. they are, like, they spared the dark red team and the green team because they didn't really do anything. But, like, I mean, this would be super cinematic in, like, real life, but, like, you destroyed our people, subjugated our land, exploited our resources, all for what? Some silly fallacy child's play. You haven't seen real power until you've seen me. And, like, the purple team people are, like, kind of, like, at first, like, yeah, but slowly as time goes on, he becomes more twisted, like, from his power. He becomes, like, more self-absorbent, like, I am the one who rules all will bend to my will. And people eventually realize that this isn't good, and they're using corpses of old people, and it's just, they use dead bodies as, like, pawns for them, and these people believe in, like, an afterlife, and just taking them out of their afterlife, and just, they don't like him. They feel like he's evil. So the only thing stronger than an all-power sorcerer is the people. They rise up in mass rebellions against the lands. And when I'm saying giant rebellions, I mean giant rebellions, because nobody is having this. They don't want to be subjugated by anyone anymore. All of them have dealt with subjugation. Purple team getting subjugated. This pink religion getting subjugated. This light blue religion getting subjugated. This area getting neglected, really. It's just all dealt with. This island getting subjugated. They've all dealt with being neglected. And they know the pain. They know the pain of being neglected. But this is not right. You can't just take everything for yourself. You can't just do this. I know I'm getting so emotional. This is like a fictional story, but still. And they miraculously start winning because they're not really fighting. The only ones they're fighting is the dead people. But people just surrender because everybody hates this guy. And he's confused because he thought that everybody loved him. He was his savior. The savior of all peoples. But on becoming the savior, he became evil. And nobody liked him. And they just take all the land back slowly because although they're not all united, they're united again, and they have a common enemy. And for now, that's strong enough to make them rise up. And if this is not an allegory for humankind, then what is? If they all take it over, every last piece of land riots. Faith is brought back to humanity. And they think everything's gone. I'm gonna, of course, spoil it for you. Of course it's not. We need it for plot points later, but eventually the nations slowly start reforming, starting with the Purple Nation, which is, like, peaceful, and then the Red Nation, then the Blue Nation, and among that also, lag. Boom. Okay, and they all, reunite and all change in some sort of way. And let's open up the religion map, because this is necessary. The sort of radical religion over here kind of dies down, because everybody just feels more similar to each other. They fought the same wars as each other. Even this light blue religion that was no gets erased, and just this lighter blue, and they can all live in harmony. And the pink team even helps because they were some of the first people to riot, and they gain people because they feel like it's just a nice allegory for humankind. humankind. If we all band together, then we can win. I know I'm getting emotional. It's just so made up. But honestly, it would be like, oh yeah, no, there's no islands here, right? It would be really cool if I was made some sort of like Netflix show or something. That would be really cool. And actually, even the teal team over here, the teal religion, gets their freedom because they fought hard enough in the war. And even the pink team over here, this whole area, I mean, some of it's actually not the pink team. Yeah, some of it's actually not the pink team, but this whole area, you know, gets their freedom. And even, you know, this area gets their freedom because, as we saw, they initially rebelled at the start of the event, you know, at the start of the war, because they don't feel like they've aligned as much. And just in the way they united themselves, but also separated themselves in like a good way, like where everybody has their own say. And it means so much. This is like, honestly, this is a great concept. I really like it. It just, after what happened last episode, talking about very bad stuff, honestly, this episode is like a lot more upbeat. Like every story has a happy ending, even though actually not all of them do. But I don't know. It just feels nice to end up on an up note for once. And this might be a bit of a short episode, but thanks for watching. And goodbye, my cabbages.